Officials in Brockton are giving an update after a 17-year-old student was stabbed allegedly by another student who was taken into custody.
Huntington School, 1121 Warren Ave. Emergency Medical Services transported a 17-year-old male student to the hospital with non-life-threatening injuries. The victim is responsive and alert at the hospital. Police immediately placed a 16-year-old male student in custody. We believe at this time the incident is isolated and the investigation is active and ongoing at this time. Thank you.
I'd next like to invite up Superintendent Michael Thomas, who's going to provide an update on how the school responded. Thank you.
Thank you, Jess. Thank you. I want to commend first our nurse in administering first aid right away, and the school staff. School staff has had a very tough week. They had a death of a student killed earlier this week, so we've had a lot of therapeutic support there, but for our students, and they have done an amazing job supporting our students, so we have to make sure now we do an amazing job supporting them. That staff is incredible. It's a very close-knit community. There's only about 40 students there, and they're like a family, and it's just amazing to see them come together and support each other. I visited the young man in the hospital about a half hour after he got there, and he was very alert. He looked up and he said, "Mr. Thomas, I always wanted to meet you." So he was just, he was alert. He was doing well. I spent some time there with his grandmother and his dad, and he looked good. He was talking. So it was just a pleasure to go and see him and make sure he was doing okay. And, this is just, we're living in tough times, especially school systems. We live in a violent society. If people don't think that those things are going to make their way into schools, as you can see across the country, we're living in very difficult times, and our kids are going through very difficult circumstances. And it's our job to support them and support our teachers who do an amazing job. The entire staff, our adjustment counselors, school police officers, the mayor, the school committee. The way we support each other here in the City of Champions is second to none. And when we're in situations like this, are very difficult to be able to respond the way we do, and as a big family, it just makes it so much easier for all of us to deal with these very difficult situations. Mr. Mayor.
Next up is Mayor Robert Sullivan. Thank you.
Well, first of all, good afternoon. I'm really thankful you're all here today. Superintendent Thomas just pretty much shared my sentiments as well. I'm the mayor of the city of Brockton. I also serve as chair of the school committee, but I'm a dad of 3 kids. So when we talk about safety in our schools, it's paramount. As Mike just shared with us, that school is suffering because of a homicide earlier this week of a young student. So the staff and the students are hurting. We're providing emotional well-being support for all of them. We even have our wellness team in there with comfort dogs as well. And then today I want to commend the staff, the nurses, the teachers, everybody that came together, the principals, administrators, but also our school resource officers, our Brockton police, and the students. We are a family, as the superintendent said, and when anybody is hurt in our family, we come together. It's collaboration. So today, again, thankfully, and thank God, a true tragedy was avoided. But also, I want to thank Good Samaritan Medical Center right now, providing excellent medical care. As you know, Brockton Hospital is offline, so the influx of patients there right now is paramount. But they knew it was a priority to have one of our own transported there, and they rendered wonderful, wonderful care. Thank you.
Right. And to close, we'll answer a few questions. Again, this is an ongoing investigation, so we'll answer to the extent we're able.
Can you let us know, just in terms of the 16-year-old that's in custody, whether or not there'll be charges? Is that forthcoming?
That would be through the Plymouth County DA's office. We can't disclose that right now.
Chief, can you talk about where in the school this happened? What kind of weapon was used? Was the weapon recovered? Can you come up to the...
Again, this is an ongoing investigation. It was a knife. We do have the weapon, so it's as much. As far as the location, I could think that Superintendent, maybe you can better describe the actual location.
The actual location was during passing time and pretty close to outside the gymnasium.
So was this a random event, or did these two students have an issue with each other?
That's what we're investigating now.
You don't know? You don't know
so
yet.
I don't know right now.
Does it have any connection at all with what happened earlier this week?
That we don't know right now.
Don't know?
No.
So we're
You
investigating.
talked a little bit about the school being a close-knit community, only 40 kids. Can you tell us, is it a special needs school?
Yes, it's a school for students with disabilities. And again, they get a lot of support, very, very small class sizes, a lot of therapeutic support, adjustment counselors, and the staff that are there are trained in trauma-sensitive learning. We spend a lot of time with parents. They all have educational plans, educational improvement plans to just make sure that we're meeting their needs. Not many systems have therapeutic day schools. A lot of school systems will send their students to out-of-district placement that have schools like this, but we're really proud of these students. They come through a lot and deal with a lot of challenges, but to see them succeed and when they graduate from there with a diploma, it's just amazing to see the work the staff does with them at
So what
that
is it
school.
like there in this small school after what happened earlier this week? And what happened today?
So I was there the day they found out that their classmate was murdered. And it's just everybody together, crying together, grieving together. Our food service worker up crying, serving everybody food. Our staff from central administration, my deputy superintendent and assistant superintendent, who are, we all rush there to make sure that everybody's supported. And we have a comfort dog from an elementary school, an adjustment counselor, and she went right over, and the comfort dog was actually there again this morning. So it's that kind of support that these students need. But then, we also have to make sure that we have to support the staff. Because they are going through a lot right now. And
Students are resilient, but what's your concern for them with these back-to-back violent things happening?
very concerned because, again, they're students with disabilities and sometimes they have difficulty processing. So, again, that's why we have such trained, dedicated staff there to make sure that that they get the supports they need. And also, not only that, we have staff that would visit homes tonight, check in with parents and see if they need any help, helping them talk and speak to their children about what happened and help them process. That's what we're investigating. We do have metal detectors at the school. We'll have to check the sensitivity. All students go through them, and they did this morning. But again, we're a school. Metal detectors, as I always say, they're not foolproof. So, obviously we're not, law enforcement doesn't search, it's school staff. So you're always going to have these kind of things, and it's unfortunate because my number one job as a superintendent is to keep, before anybody can learn, everybody's staff and students have to be safe. So we review this all the time with our school police, our Brockton police, our school committee. We've been committed to safety and security for a very long time here. And
is that your message to parents and other students who may be somewhat worried after this incident about safety?
Yeah, so we'll make sure that we'll check the sensitivity level of all our metal detectors. And again, talking to, what happened today is that nobody knew that he had it, obviously. Usually if a student does get a weapon into the school, it's amazing how other students will say something. But then the reaction time when the incident was going on, what I'm getting, the reports I'm getting from the staff that were there is that how quickly they jumped into action to disarm the individual and contain the situation. And then with our training with Alice, and so we went into lockdown where all students stay in their rooms, and then obviously the police clear us when it's ready. So they were in a lockdown for an hour before it was cleared. So again, that all goes back to how we train for these awful incidents, and no superintendent or mayor or school committee or school staff have to handle these things. We should be focused on teaching and learning, which we're here to do, but it's part of society, and we have to make sure we're ready to deal with it and then provide supports when it's over.
Can you tell us what happened immediately after the stab? You mentioned that a nurse swung into action. We also heard communication that was it staff or a police officer held the 17-year-old down on the ground.
That was the staff member.
Can you explain to us what happened when the stabbing took place? What did staff actually do to try to get this under control?
A staff member saw the altercation and saw what was going on, leaped into action and took down the student with the knife. And then the rest of it is now being investigated. Obviously, the police have to do their own investigation, and then our school principal, Dr. Davis, has to do an investigation for the school side, because again, you have the criminal side of it, and then obviously you have the school handbook that we have to follow through due process, so that all being investigated.
Was that staff or the nurse, the one that helped us?
No, the first one was not. It was a mentor.
Then there was also a nurse that got.
A nurse then came. Was called. All staff members have walkie-talkies. We have hundreds and hundreds around the district. They're also connected to our Brockton police and our fire department. So when calls go out on the school 911 channel, it goes out everywhere, and including everybody in the building, obviously. So people react really quickly.
So the nurse got right to the injured student?
Yes.
And
yes.
What was she?
Just for what I was told, I wasn't there, was the first aid. Obviously, she has her first aid kit. Make sure she obviously stops the bleeding, and number one thing is to obviously first aid. I can't disclose that right now. That's being investigated, but it's he's well, non-life-threatening injury. But again, that's part of the investigation.
Could you just clarify where was it in the school, but near the gym? Did you?
He was in the school, outside the gymnasium in the hallway.
It was during between periods.
Passing time, yes.
And where was the suspect brought?
I would believe to the Brockton Police Department.
South Shore.
South Shore. He was transported to South Shore Hospital to make sure he was checked as well.
One more question.
How does this being a specialized school add to how complicated the investigation is going to be, and how complicated of a response it is from a therapeutic standpoint?
I don't think from the therapeutic standpoint it's complicated at all, because this is what they do every day. Like I said, our students are dealing with difficult challenges, and they come in with difficult challenges, and it's our job to make sure we support them. I think the staff there, even though they're hurting right now, they always do what's best for kids, and they're trained to make sure they provide that. The investigation piece would, obviously will be, some students, will have a difficult time talking about it. Some students can't talk about it. So that part will, we'll get through with, again, the police will do their investigation, we'll do ours.
What about charges or anything like that? Does that affect those potential charges at all?
The charges would then, the law kicks in a handbook policy called 37H, and that means that you have to follow, if they're charged with a felony in school, then you follow the due process with hearings and those kind of things.
All right. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you.
Please follow up with me if you need anything else.
Yes, there are.
One thing that's important to reiterate what the superintendent said is we take safety as a paramount issue, right? So the metal detectors are being checked across the school district, every elementary school, middle school, and high school. Brockton High is one of the largest public high schools east of Mississippi. Our district is one of the largest populations in the Commonwealth. So we have increased police presence this week as well. But I think really what's most important is that the individual who was injured, who was harmed, who was assaulted is going to recover. Thank you.
Thank you.